Hello, folks, and how are you doing? And welcome to our channel. So, I wanted to share something that I've experienced in the past 24 hours, and it's going to be part of my processing as well. It's going to be part of me talking through things and sharing some insights and things that have come through that I think can help us going forward on this path of healing and ascension. So, if you don't know, we have another channel called CTGT Tarot, something like that anyway. Forgotten the name of it. It's not ECTGT Tarot. And on that we have a little playlist on there called Psychic Investigators or Psychic Investigations, where we'll look at something from the past and we'll pull cards on it and chat about it and try and make sense of it. So we've just come back off of a cruise and we know we've not done some of these videos for 2 or 3 weeks now. So we're pondering new content and new investigations to look at. And Gary went on Netflix and says, "Oh, I've just seen a documentary on Netflix." He said, "Have you ever heard of the," let me just look at her name, I know I'm rude, Amy Lynn Bradley case? And I said, never heard of it. I said, "What is it?" He said, "Well, it's strange because it's on a cruise ship. Apparently in the 90s she went missing, etc." And I was like, he said, "Yeah, we can watch the documentary, see what we think, and then we'll could, if we want to, do a video on it." I said, "Okay." So we watched the documentary last night. Oh, I think it's 3 episodes. I'd never heard of it. Gary had never heard of it. And the whole story, from start to finish, has had such a huge impact on me. Um, it's been profound for so many ways. I don't even know where to begin with it. Obviously, she's female. We are of a similar age, although she is older than me. Um, Cruising holidays, of which I've been on quite a few. We've been on quite a few. Um, the divine feminine wounding, all kinds of different things that just hit me like gut punches whilst watching it. The vulnerability of women, the vulnerability of young girls, the secret worlds that we've got out there, the secret groups we've got out there, family dynamics that are out there, um, toxicities that are out there, how vulnerable we are on holiday, how vulnerable we can be at any time, really. But what got me was one of the things we've been speaking deeply about was holidays. And why do we go on holiday? And why do we need to go on such big holidays as humans? Such fancy holidays, cruise ships. I'm guilty of this. Um, Big, I don't know, things abroad where there's all-inclusive type stuff, spending thousands of pounds on these holidays, going into these strange countries, going into these strange environments, coming out of our routines, coming out of our rituals, coming out of our balance, coming out of our grounding, putting ourselves in the vulnerability of other people's responsibility, um, being very close to things we have no comprehension of how to deal with. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. And we've been talking about this privately before this documentary and about how we're going to holiday going forward and that we're going to turn away from the whole cruise thing because I've been getting ick feelings about cruising for a while anyway. So it got me. But it also got me because of the recent channeling we've done on here with Meredith and something that Meredith said about the future and about we're not going to be traveling. Now, the vast majority of people have found that wonderful and they've welcomed in the fact that we're not going to be flying all over the world. We're not going to need to. We're not going to be driving miles and miles and miles. We're going to be a content species. We're not going to need to spend thousands of pounds, hundreds of thousands of pounds. We're not going to need to keep up with the Joneses. We're not going to be living from ego, we're going to be living from love. So we're not going to need these big holidays. There's been a handful of people that have come on and that's triggered them. And they've got quite problematic in the comments you have been dealt with, etc. But quite combative over it. And this is our human right to go on holiday. Yeah. But it made me think about how all this is tying in also with the ascension. That when we hear about these stories, and this isn't, by the way, going into fear, okay? Because I also know that unless it's meant to happen to you as part of your karmic contract or part of your learning, it doesn't happen to you. Okay? So does that make sense? Does that make sense? So this isn't about going out in fear. This is something else. This is about really looking at how we are living as human beings. Um, and this is going to be a big part of the ascension where we're going to be thinking twice about these big flashy holidays, these big flashy weddings, these big flashy houses, these big flashy cars, these big flashy ways of being, the big flashy designer labels, the big flashy jobs, the big flashy private schools, the big flashy circle of friends. And that's going to be our saving grace. That's going to be our saving grace. Um, I've been on a cruise ship. I've been on, how many, I don't know how many cruise ships, but quite a few now. To different parts of the world. And I can tell you that they're interesting places. And I can see now with some of the investigating I've been doing over the jumping down to certain things over the past 24, well, not 24 hours, but well, seriously, since coming back. Because the strange thing is, I didn't Google anything, but once we've come back from that cruise, certain things have been coming onto my radar about things that are happening on cruises. Um, to kind of confirm what I was feeling. And they are a hotbed of activity, good, bad, the ugly. Um, the lack of care for people. I could go. Am I going to go on about? I don't know. See if it comes up organically. So when this documentary came on, yes, but the strange thing was as well on the cruise before things started to go a little bit strange. I loved Iceland, by the way, but the ship was weird. Um, I did actually say, oh, I would love to go to like Jamaica and Barbados and Caribbean and all of that. I've changed my mind. Nothing towards the people, but just yes. I think again, it's about emotional intelligence of knowing about a country, knowing about the safety of a country, knowing about the rituals of a country, the rites of passage of a country. Um, for example, say if somebody is really educated in that area of the world and is intelligent and is emotionally intelligent to deal with it and is sensible and well prepared, fair enough. But I am quite vulnerable like that. I can be quite naive and I'm not ashamed to admit to it. I can be too trusting at times. Although since I've been doing this job, my spidey senses do step in a lot. But I think as well, going to places where there's things happening and you're an empath or you're highly sensitive or you're sensitive to energies or you're a feeler, can be an absolute nightmare. And I would feel into it without even realizing it. This documentary has proven that. And this morning I was in the gym and I was like, I'm sick of this. I don't want to feel this. I just want to have watched it and not felt anything. And the guides were like, why would you want to be like that? And I was like, what do you mean? Why would you want to not feel, Claire? Why would you want to not feel? I said, and I actually said, I said, but it hurts. It hurts to think that some young woman, young girl could go on holiday and be in a situation where something horrific could happen to her, where there's possibly nowhere for her to turn. Yeah. There's possibly no safe harbor, literally, for her, that somebody can just be taken like that or whatever, and there's no trace or traces are hidden. And the fact that the ship just kept going on, and then the next people that holiday in that room go in there and pack the cases with the kids and don't realise. And it was just, it hurts. And I said, and I'm not afraid to say it hurt. It hurt that we live in a world where you'd think, oh, I'm going to go to security on ship because they can help me. But in some cases, that may be the worst thing you can do. Or you think I'm going to go to the cruise manager because they can help me. And it may be the worst thing you could do. Or I feel a bit funny in this bar. Or there's a band member there. I think he's friendly. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, as women and as young girls as well, because there's the inner young girl in here, it hurts. And it hurts that we live in a world where there is such darkness happening. And I don't want to be the person that goes, la 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 la, unicorns, unicorns, unicorns. Because I think part of this ascension path is looking at this and feeling it. I've had some big womb healing done recently, and I've had my rights done as well. Um, which I'll talk about more. And when you have that, the passage done, that sounded rude, didn't it? But the rite of passage done, you actually change as a woman, and the connection that you feel to the womb and to other women, other girls, etc., is profound. Um, and speaking to the guys this morning, they were like, "There's nothing wrong with feeling." So when you're on this path and something comes up in your life and you feel it, don't try to cure yourself. Don't try to get yourself better. Feel it and do what I did. Well, why don't you want to feel this? Sandra, Barbara, Denise, Katie, whatever your name is. Why don't I want to feel this? Because it makes me hungry. Because it was that as well. Okay, that's fine. Own it. Because it makes me scared. Own it. Because it makes me tearful. Own it. Because bloody hell, it should do. If you're a human being with a consciousness, you should be feeling. You should be feeling that. There's nothing wrong with that. And what if part of the suppression that we've been put under is about encouraging people not to feel? So that when we see something, we're like, oh, girl's gone missing on ship. Oh, because if I were on that ship, mate, I'd flip out. If I would, if I went on a ship and I knew that somebody had gone missing whilst I'm on that ship, rising Scorpio would be rising to the surface, and I'd be wanting to get to the bottom of it, whether it was one of mine or not. I won't want to be one of the people going, oh, and just get on with it. That'd freak me out more. And one of the downloads I've had recently is it's more freaky when people don't feel. It's more freaky when they hear something horrific on the news and they're like, oh, or they don't even resonate. So owning how we feel is how we heal. Because when you go into the anger, when you go into the fear, when you go into the pain, when you go into the sadness, that's when you're feeling. Okay. But then I pulled a card for myself this morning on this subject and I got impasse. I don't know how you say it. Reflect, and redirect your energy. So take time to reflect, but then redirect your energy. So I've pulled cards in private about it. I've used this great deck here, Trish James investigation deck, and I got some. I got it was interesting. I'm not going to pull cards on camera. That was for me. I've done what I needed to do with that deck. I've sat with spirit. I've sat with my own wounding. I'm going to move on. I'm going to do this video and I'm going to talk to people because I know if I'm feeling this, many others are feeling this, and I'm going to go on with my life. There's nothing I can do to save her. There's nothing I can do to bring about this case to an end. I'm not FBI, I'm not CIA, I'm not parents, I'm not any of it. It's not my job. And I think a big thing to do in this journey of life is to know what you can and can't do. Because I think way too many people are putting way too much expectation on themselves. You see it, especially in spiritual community. We're here to save the day. We're here to clear it. We're here to wake people up. We're here to... And I just think the burden of that is off the scale. If you look at this case, or like the Maddie McCann case, or any other case like it, and you take on that energy of I'm gonna crack this, and you're not actually a qualified person or asked to crack it, the burden of that to your energy field is profound. So how do you heal this? How do you clear it within yourself? When I was cleaning the living room this morning and I asked guides this, I said, so what do we do then? And one of the things they said, because there's a lot we can do, um, And it isn't about saving people or getting the answers or being a sleuth. One of the things they said was, you live simply and humbly and with love. And you make sure that your home, your four walls, is a safe place. That you fill your life full of love. If you've got children, they know you are a safe space. That no matter what they come to you with, you will not judge them, mock them, reject them, give them up, abandon them, sacrifice them, neglect them. That they know they can come to you with any trauma and you will be their safe harbour. Because if you have birthed this creation, it is only right that you are the safe harbour. Take this out to the next level. If you're a grandparent, you're the same. If you're an uncle, you're the same. Step parent, you're the same. When families become true safe harbours, and when families become based on love, compassion, joy, and unity, the external things in the world will not be able to happen because love wins. This isn't about smother mother syndrome because that can be dangerous in itself. This is about safe harbour. Am I a safe harbour as a parent? And be truthful. Is our home a safe harbour? Is there lots of drinking in here? Is there drugs in here? Is there codependency in here? Are there secrets in here? Are there silent treatment energies in here? Is there arguments in here? Is there slamming doors in here? You know, are there other people? Is it an open door policy where we've got people coming in all the time in here? That's one way that we can change this. We may not be able to do anything about the past, but going forward, we be mindful of those that we let close into our lives. Went on that cruise. Now, if you're on TikTok, we did a live when we left Southampton. And I'm filming this live and Gary's there as well. He's like, oh, catch that, catch that, catch that. Director and producer. Um, and a couple latched on. If you're on the live, you'll have heard them. And I am like this. I'm a very private person, believe it or not. When I'm out on holiday, I don't like latching on, and I don't like people latching onto us. I don't like it. I actually think that's a weird energy when people, strangers, latch onto you on holiday. Strange energy, don't like it. And this couple latched on, and like my spidey senses were going, get away, get away, get away, get away, get away. They were like literally, woof. Um, so energetically, I was filming, obviously in the physical, but energetically, I was like, no, no, no. And I actually put out. I saw them a couple of times, but they didn't see us. Yeah, magic. Um, but again, this is some strange couple. There are many people that would have latched onto them also. You don't know them from Adam. You don't know who they are, what he does for a job, what she does, what groups they're part of. And this isn't about fear. This is about actually being mindful that the world we live in right now has questionable aspects to it. Yeah. And it's okay saying and pointing up to the top or to the toxicity in the world and blaming them. Yes, they should be. But we have to take responsibility also. And I think as women, mothers, grandmothers, aunts, stepmothers, school teachers, all of it, I think we need to be better. We need to be better. Um, going through the divine feminine healing that we're doing, the divine feminine wounding that we're working through. The stories like Amy's are all part of that. Nicola Bulley's another one, all of it. I never read on that publicly either because I just don't think it's needed. I don't think it's needed. And I think what can happen is it can cause more imbalance in the situation. If you think about it energetic, privately you're dealing it privately, but you put a reading out and you're able to understand your cards. But some people can come in and see what they want to see and then blast off to someone else, or it's energy. Do you know what I mean? Um, and sometimes people aren't ready for it. They don't want to see it, even though they'll come and watch it, but they're not ready for it, if that makes sense. Um, so with the Epstein case as well, I mean, not the other week, when all this thing with Virginia came up, yes, lately, I did a read on it because I was going to read on it, and I was going to filmed it, and I filmed it to the filmed it to the end, and I just was like, it was so dark, it was horrific, and I was like, I can't put that on. I just can't put that on because some people just are not ready for that. And also as well for my own safety, it was very blatant, very obvious. And it was like, but what is this going to do putting this out there into the world? It's a hard one because you'll get people, well, we have a right to know. Do we? One thing the guide said this morning was just because you're psychic or intuitive doesn't mean to say you're going to get all the answers. And they actually said a good set of guides in this situation will not give you the answers. They will not show you it all because sometimes some things are so dark, it affects you. Yeah. So you're good. If you've got a set of good guides, they won't let you go too far with it. They'll let you see it, feel it, process it. But you know, when you see people, my guides are showing me this, my guides are showing me that, and you just think, who are your guides? You know, who is showing you that? Um, who is allowing you to go that deep and dark into something? Why is none of those angels or guides coming saying, okay, we understand you're dealing with shadow and stuff, but step back, process it, step back. So here's to my next point. We don't need to know what happened to Amy. We don't. We don't need to know what happened to Maddie McCann. Yes, we do. No, we don't. We don't need to know what happened to Virginia, to etc. Yeah, X, Y, Z. As humans, we are not meant for that. We're actually not meant to be finding out what's happening in a different country. Our consciousness is not prepared for that. Yeah. We're not built to take on that information. We're built to be able to deal with what we've got here. We're not built for taking on the darkness of the world. Be aware of it. You don't want to be too naive, but be able to release it and process it and go forward. So in this instance, now that I've done this video, now that I've pulled some cards, now that I've communed with the spirit, I won't be Googling her again. I'll take what I need to, but I won't be Googling again. I won't be online sleuthing constantly, podcast videos, tarot readings, all of that. Because really, none of them have the answer. And I'll tell you that straight now. None of them have the answer. Um, those that do, they're not sharing it. Um, and how we go forward is embracing enthusiasm, embracing purity and innocence. Shout to the heavens with happiness. One of the things you can do, I mean, I've got, oh, it's there, you can't see it anyway. Okay, point correctly, it's there, just behind that picture. It's a grid anyway that I've always got set up, and that's a grid for whatever, really, to be quite honest. My healing, my work, client work, it's just there. There's crystals, there's candles, there's statues on there, there's pictures, it's the grid. So you can set up a grid, same thing in your house, with crystals on it. Sometimes I'll put rose petals on there. It's a nice space. Building up a nice space in your home, making sure you are a nice person, a good, decent person, making sure that you've got safe spaces in your world, making sure that what you can do ripples across the ponds. Yeah. Um, and be at peace. You don't need to know the answers. And be thankful that you don't. Be thankful that you've got a team of people behind you that are saying, we're not going to show you that. We're not going to let you go that dark because we love you, and we're going to protect you. Yeah. Um, it's about creating more joy and more beauty in the world. Let's pull a card on camera. What is the Amy Bradley case trying to teach us? What is the Amy Bradley case trying to teach us? Ooh, okay. Wow. Solitude. In silence, peace prevails. You go online, and I did it, and oh, they're all out, the sleuths, the know-it-alls, the it's like that in comment sections, and I'd ask at this stage, please don't do it on this. I won't allow it, but please don't do it on this channel. Where I feel, I see, I know this person. I mean, some of the stuff out there is like, oh my God, it's nothing new. They just come out. This is about, I want to be the one of solitude and peace. And actually, again, it comes back to what I was saying about living quiet, humble lives where you're not infected by thousands of people. I'm guilty of it. These cruise ships have got thousands of people on now, where there's power in not needing that. There's power in just having some simplicity. Nice basic picnic, the wind in your hair, a little bit of drizzle, and your local beach. Or a nice cottage somewhere that you've rented. Do you know what I mean? Just branch out a bit. The card at the bottom was ascending the mountain. Keep going forward. Ascending the mountain. Keep going forward. So, as a collective, we're going to be shown in various different ways just how low we have sunk. And that's going to be difficult to hear, watch, feel, see, but it's part of the learning. If I'd have said last night, I don't want to watch that documentary, it sounds right dark, we won't be having this conversation right now. I wouldn't have gone through the upgrades, the downloads that I've had in the past few hours. You then wouldn't go from this video and have your thoughts about your journey as a divine feminine, divine masculine. I'm going to pull a card from this deck now. It's a brand new deck, and it's very new to me. And I've not used it yet at all. It's called the Viking Oracle by, I don't know. Just let me. I'll get the. Oh, Stacey DeMarco. What was the Amy case trying to teach us? No, I cannot say that word. And I'm going to do something that could trigger people. I don't like triggers people. I'd never do it on here. But I'm going to read the book because I just want to read the book with this. This is Yggdrasil. I am trying to learn Norse at the minute. Bear with me. So 45. That's 43. I'm going to say that's a different picture. Oh, hey. You are part of the tree of life. You belong. You are part of something bigger than you realize. You deserve a wonderful life. Your destiny is both fated and shaped by your will. Be present, be grounded. I am now holding up, sending through, being with, sending forth, connected to everything. I am life. And so it goes on. Bear with me. Yggdrasil, apologies. The tree of life is the center of the cosmos. It grows in Asgard, apologies, the realms of the gods. It is also known as Asgard not rascals, which means the ash tree to which Odin's eight-legged horse Sleipnir, if I've said anything wrong, just ignore me. You don't need to correct me in the comments. Is tied. A mighty ash, Yggdrasil, supports within its branches and roots the nine worlds of the Norse cosmos. There in the various realms live all beings, including humans and gods. Yggdrasil grows up from the well of the Rid, which is the flow and living force of destiny that nourishes both the world tree and the life itself. The magic and power that flow through the very heart of the tree travels along its roots and branches to each of the nine worlds. Yggdrasil itself is the home of the three Norns. I've got them on my there. Where are they? Who carve the fate of all upon the tree, as well as to the creatures like dragons, message carrying squirrels, and a great eagle. That's twice we've got, because I pulled a card earlier about this and I got a squirrel. Yggdrasil is referred to in many poems. In the Eddas, one of the lovelier Santas, not Santas as in, which comes from these words, prophecy and the coterie of rouge thus. I'm moving on. I know that an ash tree stands called Yggdrasil, a high tree soaked with shining loam. From there comes the dews, which fall in the valley, evergreen. It stands over the well of fate. While we are not really expected to believe that there is a literal tree at the heart of the Norse cosmos, this beautiful mythos invites us to view the action of the universe in a way that offers insight into our own lives. Yggdrasil is both central and grounded. It is a symbol of the present, the now, yet it upholds the realms and concepts that flow and change. Ancient Yggdrasil is strong and reliable, and it has its own wisdom to do the most venerable trees in so as do the most venerable trees in our modern world. I think also as well, um, that was powerful, wasn't it? And about us all being connected, about the fact that when we are all connected, we are going to feel, but also as well, it's a reflection of us. I know the others, we've all been a young woman on holiday in the 90s or noughties, drinking too much, trusting too much, getting involved with the wrong crowd. We've all done it. I know I have. It's a reflection. All these are reflections of us. This whole case, the Madeline case, was a reflection of something within society. It's really easy to go, this is the elite's fault. This is a trafficking fault. Traffickers, just say the word, Claire. Shut up. I'm saying it. This is a trafficker's fault. This is that fault. This is that fault. This is their fault. But actually, we are all one. They can't do what they do without our vulnerabilities, our ignorances, our weakness, our greed, our ego, our pain, our trauma. They can't do it. If the normal everyday human sorted itself out and became aligned, boom, finished, game over. It's because we have a world full of desperate, vulnerable people that will turn blind eyes, that will be easily bought, that will drink too much and not be able to watch what's going on around in their families, that will lose themselves into all kinds of things. Systems, family systems, political systems, all systems. So it's huge. I then want to go to my next story. Is it Coldplay? This thing with the CEO at this Coldplay concert where basically the camera's panned round and it's caught the CEO of a certain company with his staff member having a canoodle. Obviously it's like, again, the tower is falling and all of that. But one of the things that really got me was I went online, as you do, and within an hour, other women were posting this video and laughing and mocking it. And cackle, cackle, cackle. The cackle fest. And it was almost like, here is another woman facing her downfall. I'm not going to be the only miserable Barbara in the world. And I was watching it, not watching it, but you flick through all this shit to get to what you want to. But I also like to people watch as well. And it was like the psychology behind these women laughing, thriving, gloating, mocking this situation. It was a bit like TikTok, as you'll know about. Was it just after New Year, where there was the video doing the trending where the young woman had decided to surprise her boyfriend, and she turned up at his party, and he wasn't impressed. That was doing the and people were taking the piss out of other women. And again, when are we gonna be better? Why are you sharing this shit? Why are you gloating at this? Why are you laughing at this? Why are you laughing at the woman that's doing it and the woman that's going to be on the receiving end of it? Why are we? It's cheap thrills. And again, everything is energy. When we stop needing cheap thrills, they'll stop providing it. New Earth, as well as we transition into New Earth, is going to be about integrity. And we're going to get many tests along the way. And some of the tests will fail. We're all human. And when you fail, that's a learning curve. But we're going to be tested on our integrity, on how we react, how we conduct ourselves, how we deal with situations. Because as humans, we've been in the underbelly of society, for everybody has, by the way, for so long. It's okay to say I've read a few books, I've been on a few retreats, I drink the cacao, I do ayahuasca, I do this, I do great, fantastic, well done. But then you still behave like a prick, or you're still gloating, or you're still deep diving into dark things and you can't pull yourself back from it. Or you're desperate to get the answer of something. And there's power in actually going, I'm fine with never knowing what really happened there. I'm fine with knowing what I've been shown. I'm fine with that because I know that I'm good with that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been shown it. I'm fine with not knowing the answers to the universe and the cosmos. Um, I don't need to be the first one. That was something else on the cruise we observed. Everybody had to be the first on the coach, or the first at the buffet area, or the first to check in, or the first to get off ship, or the first to get into the theatre, or the first to be served. Me first, me first, me first, me, myself, and I. Yeah. You don't need to be the first. What happens if the person that's last has actually took their time and taken in the surroundings? Think of a race, the last person on a race, and the first person's going, okay, fair enough. But that person that comes last possibly thought, you know what? I'm just proud to be here. I'm just proud to have the ability to be here. The use of my legs or the use of my arms in a wheelchair, if you're doing it in a wheelchair, like the Paralympics and that kind of stuff. I'm just proud to have the confidence to come out and do this. I'm just basking in the crowds and the people coming and cheering. I'm going to be present with this because I may never get to do it again. Or that old version of me sat in the nursing home or whatever. Or if I become a parent in future and don't have time to do this, we'll look back on this moment. When I did Great North Run years ago, I walked it, I didn't run it. And I was very much like that. I embraced it. I walked, at first I was like, power walk. I was never going to run it. Although I did try to do some running training. I don't really run. And I tried to do the old power walking and I just enjoyed it because I thought I knew doing that I'd never do it again. Um, the crowds, the energy, the feel of it. I think it was 2005 I did that. It was interesting because that was the year that many people died on it and passed out and collapsed and all sorts. Um, you don't need to be the first. You don't need to be the best. You don't need to be the slimmest, the prettiest, the most perfect, the richest. You don't need to be the best psychic in the world or the best healer in the world. You don't need to have the best kids, the best behaved kids. You don't need the best car, the fastest car, or the biggest house. You don't need to have the best family dynamics. Take that pressure. Imagine all that pressure there that so many people carry. Imagine just being free of it. I can just have a house. I can just be me. I can just put a little bit of makeup on without having to think about contouring and all of that shit. I can just have a facial without thinking about invasive treatments. I can just go out and buy a car that I want and can afford without thinking about keeping up with the Joneses. In fact, my kids can just be my kids without putting pressures on them, without me needing to see myself in them succeeding. That's where your power lies. That's where your life lies. That's where your joy lies. There are bad things that happen in this world. There are some very deep, dark, dangerous, bad things happening, and will be coming up to the surface. And it is very easy to get caught up in it and to fear it and to not want to leave your front door ever again. But that's not the answer, neither, because we have to keep going. We have to keep going and walking in joy, in laughter, in compassion and love and joy and everything else and magic. I remember when we were packing for this holiday and it was all the news around World War Three coming in. And I got to a stage where I thought, I feel a bit shit packing for a holiday because there was a real dense energy in those weeks. I could see beyond it, but it was just there, that icky energy. And again, Spirit came through and said, no, this is how people get through things, is you've got to keep, the wheel of life keeps turning. The wheel of life keeps turning. We can't just stay stuck. The wheel of life keeps turning. Now I'm being shown as well that that's interesting. The room where that family stayed on that cruise ship, because I said to Gary last night, my God, the poor family that will have got into there after that. It's horrific. They wouldn't have known about it. Imagine me going in there. I can feel something. Oh my God, I mean, Scorpio coming out like that. Whoa, let's play. It'd have been disastrous, especially at 90s when I was a teenager. Um, but actually, what I'm being shown is, again, there will have been people that have gone into that room unknowingly, stayed there, and their energy, there will have been something in their energy that will have helped to transmute that, to bring some healing. Everything is energy. Dolores Cannon talked about that. She talked about it in response to herself and said that she was told that there was something in her energy that would go out and affect, in a positive way, the places that she was at. Bring things up to be looked at. And that's another thing as well. He's taking it to the next level. Wherever we go, we're transmuting. Wherever we go, we're transmuting. The next family that comes into that, or a family that goes into it now, a really happy, balanced, wholesome family, goes in there and that energy goes into the nooks and the cracks and clears it and clears that other stuff. The young woman, the young girl that is kept safe by all that should be keeping her safe on that cruise ship going forward, because the cruise ship's still going. Rhapsody of the Seas, it's called, apparently. I haven't been on it. Um, will transmute that, will help to rewrite the timeline. Does that make sense? So you may think, I want to try and be of service. Your way of being of service is being a happy, wholesome adult or human being, is making sure that everywhere you go, you leave a little bit of joy, that you leave that room changed. So when I stay away in hotels, I will give the little room a blessing, not like I do for the client sessions when I do land clearing. That'd just be extreme. But when I go into a room in a hotel, because we do travel a lot, because we live away from family, I, give the Aqua de Florida a run round a few times and I'll bless it. And I'll tell you what I always do as well. I leave something behind energetically for the next person if they need it. Some wisdom, something that they need, some magic, some healing. Um, and again, it doesn't have to be bells and whistles. It's not dramatic. You won't even know I'm doing it. If you saw us on the Thackeray's, not the Thackeray, yeah, The Thackeray's and CTGT Tarot, because we've got three YouTube channels. We talked about our recent stay in a hotel in Leeds that had Jimmy Savile's body laid out when he was died, and in 2012, I think it was. And I was like, staying there. But we went there, it was all right. And actually, I knew that being there, we were releasing something. We were releasing something. We were healing something. Didn't know what, but something was shifting. And it's the same. So just being you, you are of service to the world, to humanity. Let's pull a card for that. Mystic healer, healing energy flows through you. Staying focused, hold the course. Well, this is another thing as well. When we start to hear about all of these different characters and actions and deeds, it's going to be really easy to go, "Rah," and we're going to have to check in with ourselves with that because that's not going to help neither. So we've got to remember why we're all here. Everybody on this planet is playing their role. There's no, all of. I don't like that in the spiritual community where it's like them and us type energy. Everyone, even the deepest, darkest people in the world right now, are playing their part and bringing it up. I'm going to pull a card from this deck, but I'm not going to read the book. Don't need to. Nice now and again to read these books, but I can't sit here reading a book. Final card for this session. I got her earlier, didn't she come up earlier? Divine Feminine. Sol and Scaddy. Again, don't be offended if I say these things wrong. You don't need to tell me how to say them in the comments. Honestly, you don't. I will learn as I go along. But look at this two women, where we've been, where we're going. The defensiveness, the judgment, the mocking, the brutality, the having to be the warrior on our guard when we go for the walk in the woods because you're a woman, to stepping into this, where, yeah, I can protect myself, but I don't need to be on high alert. Knowing your worth. Parting of the deck. Isa. Coming out of the cage. Coming out of the cold. Thank you for watching, everybody. This is a bit of a convoluted, or is it eclectic? No, it's not epileptic video. Eclectic, I think the word is. Anyway, this video will be in a playlist called, I think on here, it's called Shamanic Teachings. And now and again, I do something like this where I go a bit shamanic on everybody. I'm a shamanic practitioner, so it stands to reason. If you like this video and you would like, oh, I'll watch a bit more of those type of things when you just go into it, shamanic teachings, or there's something, go work through the playlist. There is a playlist there. You'll know when you see it. Thanks for watching. Love to all. What we've said today, take into any areas of your life that you need to. You don't need to know the answers and whys and wherefores, and be thankful that you don't, because I've said this. I've said this before. Some things you can hear, and they can be so damaging to you that you can never get back that innocence and that beauty. And you know, have you ever been told something you think, oh, I'll never be the same again after seeing that? Be careful. Be careful what we absorb. Thanks for watching. Love to all.